Hello, welcome to the second CocoaSplit tutorial / documentation video. This video is about input source filters, what they are, how to apply them, etc. These are all configured via the settings filters tab. So you can see there are three columns here. This represents the three types of filters you can apply to an input source. Background is a filter that's only applied to anything behind the input you're configuring, and you have to be able to see it. So it's basically anything behind transparent parts of the input. Source and input for most things will be the same. I'll demonstrate exactly how they're different in a minute or two. So it's fairly straightforward. To add a filter, you click the plus button. So when you do that, you get a small window with a list of core image filter categories on the left. These are stock categories that come with OS X by default. Let's pick color adjustment, color controls. So we've added color control filter to this input. Didn't change anything because we haven't configured it yet. So select the color control item, click the configure button, and you get this small configuration window. These are generated by system frameworks within OS X, so they're sometimes not as intuitive as you would hope. But this one is. You can just move the slider to change contrast, brightness, saturation, however you would like to configure that. So you can just close the window, and then you're like, oh wow, I don't like how this looks at all. You can simply select it again, hit minus, it goes away. This is a list. If you noticed, it means you can stack filters in whatever order you would like. So let's do color effect, add a sepia tone, then we can add another filter if we would like. We can blur the whole thing, so now we have a sepia blurred version of our input. And again, we can configure these however we'd like. There. So remove these. Now, to demonstrate the difference between source and input, first the explanation is source only applies to the actual configured input source of this particular input. Input applies to the entire source layer, including child layers. So let me enable this. So we've got an image, and it's attached. It's already attached. It's attached to this larger input. So if we apply an effect to the source, let's say color invert, you'll see it does the color invert for the entire just the video input, but not the image. If we remove that and instead apply it to the input column, now it applies to everything, and it will apply to anything you add as a child to this overall input. So you can see if we attach it, suddenly it's yellow because it's blue inverts to yellow. Now that we have this here, first let me remove all these filters. There we go. So, what does background filtering do? This, watch. So we're setting a filter on this empty source. Again, let's go with color invert. We just added it. So, didn't do anything. That's because the background color isn't opaque, or sorry, isn't transparent, which means you can't see anything behind it, so there's nothing you can see for it to filter. But if you were to go and clear the background color, suddenly anything behind this source has that color effect applied to it. You can do various interesting things here. Right. If you set background color, notice you can't see anything being inverted here, but if you change the opacity of background color as the actual source behind this one bleeds through, the invert effect is applied as the more you can see. That's pretty much it for filters. Just keep in mind that there's a whole variety of filters, categories and filters in here, and not all of them make sense or do anything useful. There's a lot of different effects that come with OS X. Play around with them, maybe you'll find something interesting. And if you have any suggestions for topics you would like to see covered in future videos, please let me know in the comments. And thanks for using CocoaSplit.